So Bad It's Good is sponsored by our friends at Hims. Hair loss isn't just about hair. It's about how you feel when you look in the mirror. Hims helps you take back that confidence with access to simple, personalized care that fits your life. For simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/sobad. That's hims.com/sobad for your free online visit. hims.com/sobad. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Featured products included compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Okay, that was a little fun conversation, and now let's get on to the main course. Real Housewives of Orange County. I should be thrilled because this was the season finale, and part of me is. But part of me is like, what? Why? Why did we do any of this season? What was the point? And also, I'm so confused. If you look at the season, it's almost like they expected us to not pay attention. Katie Janela was iced out for speaking to bloggers and passing on what she had been told by Gretchen, even though Katie is saying she was told that by Gretchen, but she didn't tell that to Kiki. I mean, it's still very confusing, the Katie Janela of it all, and hopefully we will clear that up at the reunion. But this episode ends with them picking back up cameras and an unidentified caller that sounds like the ghost from Scream. Like, do you want to play a game, Sydney? like, God. But I thought the whole point, we're not supposed to talk to bloggers. So they're talking to bloggers to get information about Tamra speaking to bloggers. At this point, the production companies and Bravo need to lay down a law that the Bravo celebrities can't speak to bloggers. We're dealing with the same scenario on Salt Lake City. The only difference is that Salt Lake City is entertaining. It's funny. This is weird and creepy and dark. And I'm not even yet talking about Gretchen and her liking the anti-LGBTQ transphobic posts, which I go back and forth on. I mean, Gretchen, I'm so confused. She really took that scene when she got confronted and she didn't really fight back at all. She's swearing she didn't like those posts. People are saying that Emily and Gina saw them before it was expressed to Gretchen, and they were not liked by Gretchen, but she did follow those accounts. And if you're following those accounts that are even putting shit out like that in the first place, then that's an issue for me. Whether you like the post or not, if you're following, that's pretty troubling. That means that is coming up on your algorithm. That's your feed. And listen, I have agreed with Gretchen some of this season, and I think she's got Tamra's number in a lot of ways. She's able to call out Tamra's behavior, but if you're not a reliable narrator yourself, then what good is that going to do the audience or your castmates? Because, and Tamra's really, I mean, she's good at the Housewives game. She's really good because she's able to shout you down. She's able to throw suspicion. She's able to make people look the other way. This is somebody that quit 3 or 4 times this season. And I know she wants to come back next season, and I think she's obviously a lock. But the whole thing is just, as an audience member, very confusing. The through line was just a sloppy mess. And I think also with these shows, if you're going to do something like this as the finale, you better damn well know who is right and who is wrong. Like, the production needs to know who is right and who is wrong. Like, what, I mean, is this going to be continued into season 20? Like, this reunion better clear up some shit, because if not, what is the point? And what is the point what is the point of doing a throwback season with like former castmates of the last 19 seasons of Orange County if we see what it creates? Like, Gretchen and Alexis, the last 2 seasons, haven't been like high water marks for the show with their return. I mean, Alexis Bellino was entertaining just because of the John Jansen of it all. I mean, unless Gretchen wants to get engaged and married to John Jansen next season, why are we keeping Gretchen next season? I just feel like I don't know. This season just blew chunks. It just blew chunks, folks. And if you liked it, I don't want to take away your joy. I don't want to yuck your yum. I didn't. I did not like this. This just, to me, was messy. And they try to gussy it up with Amsterdam and some fun graphics and like, oh, we're going to do weed and mushrooms. Like, I was like, God, just get them out of Amsterdam, because it's gonna like eventually they're gonna feel pressure to do cocaine and heroin. Like, that's what I was like, oh, the season's in the tank. Shannon, you're gonna have to rip a bunch of coke. Like, I just didn't find any of this. And I know I'm just being negative, so maybe I don't know what this show would have to do at this point. I will say, on a positive note, when they showed the trailer for the reunion, I enjoyed the trailer. There looked like some good stuff in there, some good conversation. I just want some clarity. I want a Lisa Barlow clarity luncheon where we unpack some shit in a very real way. But back to the Gretchen stuff is that I've had my eye on Gretchen for like the last decade. I mean, I've watched OC from day one. And I've seen Gretchen, Gretchen has, people change over the course of their life, like who Gretchen was on Orange County initially doesn't mean that's who she is now. And I think her belief system is very different than my belief system. And the reason why this rumor about the anti-LGBTQ posts hits is because there is a world in which I believe that she did this. And if she didn't do this, I also got to say there are ways. I believe Instagram keeps an account of everything that you like, everything that you follow, everybody you unfollow. They keep a record. So there are ways to find out about this. This doesn't have to be a big mystery. They keep a record of every keystroke that you put into that app. It's like, yeah, that's what the app there is, to track us. I'm going to get all conspiratorial now. Hey, just like Kim Kardashian, the moon landing was fake, you guys. But no, they track all of our shit. How do you think you get sponsored posts like directly targeted to you? Your phone is listening. Your phone, they sell our data. This is the next. Throw away your phones today. Do it now, folks. They are listening and watching all of us. Put tape over your microphone and your camera. Oh, that outburst is going to be more entertaining than this entire episode, potentially. Anyways, this is season 19, episode 17, and the title is A Source of Discontent. Yeah, the show is my source of discontent. Yes, the title, you nailed it. The description the DirecTV gives us says the ladies partake in several local activities in Amsterdam. Emily receives a distressing call from Shane. Shane's like, hey, I'm coming to Amsterdam. That's the distressing call. No. Heather finds comfort in visiting her parents' former home before spreading her father's ashes, before making Shannon snort her father's ashes. Gina struggles with a scandalous rumor that Travis actually has small testicles. Don't put that out about him. He's got huge testicles. What, are you kidding me? They start off the episode by showing us clips from the season, and that's 2 minutes of my life that I'll never get back. But you just realize you're like, there's just all these kind of like weird storylines that like were thrown out but never picked back up. Jen's engagement party, the Katie Janela, Gretchen Rossi coming back, Tamra going to therapy, which we saw maybe 1.5 times. Like, how's the therapy going? Like, can we see receipts for the therapy? When we see bring receipts, I want to see the therapy receipts. I want to make sure you are going twice a week, because you started at the beginning of the season and then you ended up leaving 3 or 4 times during the season. The therapy didn't seem to do a great deal of work this season. So I'm curious if that was just a storyline, because listen, some of these ladies have been on this show so long that you have so many different storylines. Tamra's bodybuilder storyline, Tamra's religious storyline, Tamra's therapy storyline. And not just Tamra, every one of these ladies. Like this season, Emily's is her son Luke, that Luke's got a lot of developmental issues, allegedly. And I do wonder, when Luke's grown up, if this season is going to bite Emily in the butt at all. Like, I feel for her as a mom, but sometimes you're just like, oh, I get it, man. Luke's a problem, but maybe that's maybe we can just do another scene about Gretchen liking weird posts instead of bringing a specific son into the mix. I don't know. And at the same time, I say that it's like they're supposed to share their lives. And if that really is going on, then I get it. But sometimes that makes me uncomfortable. It's like, we're not supposed to talk about the kids. That's a famous housewife rule. Like each housewife's not supposed to talk shit about housewives' kids. I get that. But sometimes should it be taken a step further? If they're not a certain age, we don't do storylines based around them. That's just just a thought I had. Anyways, they eventually go to Amsterdam. Oh, also, do you remember in the mid-season trailer where it made it look like Tamra was coming after Shannon for her drinking again? Did they cut those scenes? Because it was in the mid-season trailer. And I remember complaining about that at the time, going, oh my God, we're still going to do the Shannon drinking storyline? And that is not in this finished product. So there is stuff on the cutting room floor. Anyways, we pick back up in Amsterdam. All the ladies are getting ready for a brand new, exciting day. I don't know. The only one that interested me in this carousel round robin was Shannon struggling to put on her Spanx, which is fun. You know, it's like, Shannon putting on my Spanx. Oh, ow, ooh, which is like funny in and of itself. But at the same time, I'm like, the bravery and how comfortable Shannon is, because you realize there's a cameraman in her bedroom as she's struggling to put on like full body Spanx. Like, think about that. Like, we all have those moments, I'm sure, where we're putting on something and trying to like make sure it fits and like, But now imagine a camera dude in like cargo shorts in your bedroom holding a big camera. And Shannon's just like, I couldn't do it. I'm not brave enough. Anyways, we go to Gretchen's room and she calls her main man, Slade. Slade is dressed up like a Lisa Barlow talking head and a black cowboy hat. And it says Slade, Gretchen's life partner. And Gretchen's like, are you going to a rodeo? And he goes, no, when you get home, you'll be part of the rodeo. Oh, God. And then Gretchen like kind of like has like a little bosom showing, a little cleavage. And she like pushes the cleavage towards the FaceTime. And I'm like, wait, you know what? Like, we're talking about God and stuff. Like, do we ever think about God in these scenes? He does. Come on. And Slade's like, oh, all right. How you feeling today, babe? Kind of seems like you had a rough go. And Gretchen says, I just had to have a good cry last night. Gretchen in a talking head says, everyone just says, move on, get over it. But trauma, grief, pain is not linear. And we flash back to the previous night at dinner when she is still talking about getting over the past with Tamra. Part of me was like, was she tipped off that these Instagram posts are going to be a storyline? Was that part of this? And by the way, I'm not discounting that Tamra, obviously has done a lot of horrible things to Gretchen on the show. So I do think that can be real. But at the same time, Gretchen chose to accept the contract to come back. If this was so traumatic, do not protect your peace. This beautiful life that you say you have built up, invest in that. Don't come back to this darkness if you think this is darkness, right? But she says it just gets so exhausting trying to fight this person who is never, ever, ever going to take true accountability. She says, I don't want to do that anymore. She tells Slade, Emily says that maybe it was really lethargic for to cry it all out. And even Slade is like, it's not lethargic. It's cathartic. But lethargic. Oh, funny. That was the most entertaining part of this episode. Lethargic and cathartic. Gina and Emily's room is just trashed, just as you would imagine it would be. Gina, they're just throwing shit on the floor all over the place. And Emily's like, last night I couldn't even sleep. Yeah, I was so exhausted, Gina. Shane calls and he's so fucking frustrated. I get it because I'd been in this situation. So I guess Annabelle had cheer practice. He had to go pick her up, but Luke was just losing it, Emily says. And we flash back to Shane talking to Emily on the phone. And Emily's like, what's wrong? And he's like, he doesn't want to go to soccer. He doesn't want to do his homework. He started throwing food. And then we hear Luke go, I didn't throw anything. And Luke said, Shane says, I lost it. And then Emily's like, you make me feel so bad. What am I supposed to do? I'm in another country. She tells Gina that Shane has never lost it when it comes to the kids. And so for him to just fucking lose it, Emily says, and I'm here. She says she feels like a shitty mom. And listen, Emily's not a shitty. I mean, I don't know. You know what's so funny? Emily's going to be on Wife Swap this week. And I'm just like, I'm so curious to see Luke around the the wife that she swaps with. Like, what if Luke's like a precious little angel, and Luke just does this to his parents, but when it's like a new mom, everything's good. I'm very curious to see that episode. But Emily says, this is a journey. It's a long journey. It's not like he can just go to therapy and then he's better. But she says, it makes me feel like I can't go anywhere. So yeah, obviously moms struggle with this all the time. I can't imagine what that's like. But then to use it as a storyline, that I think almost adds to the problem in some ways. The ladies are split up in Sprinter vans about to go do some fun Amsterdam activities. And the one Sprinter van has Tamra, Emily, Gretchen, and I think Jen. And Emily and Tamra, they're making fun of Shannon and her Spanx. And Emily's like, it just redistributes the fat. It just pushes it up in her armpits. It's like being a sausage, Tamra says. And Emily's like, it's like a can of biscuits. And then when you cut it off, it's like, boom. And everybody's laughing, but this comes back into play later, right? So they're making fun of Shannon Spanx. How dare you? You cold, heartless people. So Bad It's Good is sponsored by our friends at Hims. Hair loss isn't just about hair. It's about how you feel when you look in the mirror. Hims helps you take back that confidence with access to simple, personalized care that fits your life. Now I'm looking in the mirror. I'm starting to get a receding hairline. I'm seeing the hair and I'm not loving it sometimes. And that's where Hims comes into play, because Hims offers convenient access to a range of prescription hair loss treatments with ingredients that work, including chews, oral medications, serums, and sprays. Doctor-trusted, clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil can stop further hair loss and regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. You shouldn't have to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Hims brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatment plans that put your goals first. There's no hidden fees, no surprise costs, just real personalized care on your schedule. Think of Hims as your digital front door that gets you back to your old self with simple 100% online access to trusted treatments for real health concerns all in one place. For simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/sobad. That's hims.com/sobad for your free online visit. hims.com/sobad. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Featured products included compounded drug products which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Now, Shannon, Gina, and Heather are together, and Shannon has decided to take the mushrooms with Heather and Gina, and they're talking about feeling bad for Gretchers last night, and Heather's pointing out that I can't believe Tamra and Gretchen are together right now. And Heather's like, Gretchen was so upset last night, crying and taking accountability for her own actions. And we flash back to one day earlier where Gretchen's saying, I wouldn't be the person you see here today. I wouldn't be the person that you guys say I'm being. I guess I'm not recognizing that I'm doing this sort of behavior. So this is what I kind of wonder if she was tipped off, because it's all of a sudden she's like apologizing and talking about her behavior nonstop. But Heather says somebody had to put the sword down first between her and Tamra, and Gretchen did. But Gina's like, maybe it'll be okay. But also I'm sick of they say they're going to move on, but then they both take their digs and dig in. And this is when there's some harpsichord music and we realize Shannon's feeling the mushrooms. It's like, row, 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 row. And she's looking around going, oh my God, the colors. Wow. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And then all of a sudden Shannon's like, you guys, what are those drums I'm hearing? Oh, this is the Real Housewives music, isn't it? Oh my God. Listen. Do, 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 do. So this is something that happens when you take hallucinogens. You hear things and sometimes you see things. And Heather's like, Shannon's brain is melting down in real time. I don't hear the creepy clown music. But Shannon swears to God she hears it. Da, 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 and Shannon's screaming, this is the Real Housewives of Orange County music. And Gina's like, I think the shrooms are kicking in, Shannon's. And then Shannon's like, everyone's laughing at me. Oh my God. Whoa. Which, I mean, listen, I do get a kick out of watching Shannon on weed or mushrooms. Not so much alcohol, but the other two. So they're in some kind of neon indoor carnival where Shannon's tripping out, looking at like the strobe lights and stuff, and laughing and making intense faces. Great. I do love that Heather seems to be the same Heather on weed or mushrooms, which does give me pause. I'm like, I think that's a real talent. Like, if I smoke weed, I am on a different planet. But Heather seems like she can do any sort of substance and still be completely Heather Dubrow. So they're all like mushroomed out and they're doing all of this like weird, like they even at one point they're in this like funhouse thing and like their pictures show up. So the production must have given the pictures to the, like, so it's very staged in a sense. I mean, it's fun, but at the same time, I think I was just kind of hoping for a full hour of getting down between Gretchen and Tamra and these posts. And I thought it was going to be like a receipts proof timeline, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City finale, right? And we just didn't get that. Anyways, Tamra and her gang, they're talking and they're asking Gretchen and Tamra if they feel better today. And Gretchen says, I just think I want something from you that you're not able to give me. You know what I mean? And Jen's like, what do you wish would have worked out different? And Gretchen says, I lost a lot of people in my life to cancer. And I'm like, where are we going with this? And I would hope that she would say, you know what? Now dealing with what I'm dealing with Teddy, I feel bad that I ever made you struggle or said things during that time. And Tamara's like, oh, okay. I get that. I do feel sorry that you went through that. Remember the older dude that we met Gretchen with on the earlier seasons, he was dealing with cancer. Like, that was very real. And Tamra says, my heart breaks for you to be with somebody that did pass away. Talking about Jeff, right? And we flash back to 2008. Where her former fiance is like, it was nice to get off my butt and go somewhere. And, you know, Gretchen saying, yeah, get out of the hospital bed, huh? And that's why you got to even understand Gretchen's story. There is a lot of trauma there, right? She's already with this older dude and then he has like extreme cancer. But Tamra says, I'm sorry for hurting you during that time. And Gretchen's like, thank you for saying that. In a talking head, she says, this is definitely the first time that Tamra actually heard what I had to say. It's unfortunate that it took her having to be in that exact situation for her to have any empathy for the things that she did. Well, don't worry, Gretchen. I don't think she truly feels empathy. I think she's just saying it because she knows she has to say it. And then Tamra's like, can we sign a contract? And Tamra's like, or Gretchen's like, friendship contract? And then Tamra asks ChatGPT. Great. We're using ChatGPT on Orange County now. That's how low we've fallen. And Tamara's like, Chat, can you make a friendship contract between Tamra and Gretchen? It would be great if ChatGPT was like, we don't have the time or the inclination to do this. Figure it out for your fucking self. Tamra reads, the contract hereby acknowledges the chaotic rekindling of a friendship between Tamra Judge and Gretchen Rossi. Both parties agree to refrain from taking any kind of shots at each other. Oh, great. Maybe this will be the downfall of AI and ChatGPT. That would be great if it comes from this one scene. Emily goes, I think these two ding-dongs need to sign a contract. They should sign it in blood and they should shut the fuck up and they should move forward. We'll all be happier. I know I will be. And then Tamra goes, there's a Slade memorandum. Yes. And Gretchen says, Tamra agrees not to mention Slade Smiley's finances, career, or existence. And Gretchen gets a big kick out of that. Oh, we're having fun with trauma. So now all the ladies get into like twosomes, and we have like Gina's with Tamra, and they're walking, and Tamra's telling Gina about the friendship contract, and she's like, I'm not going to pretend like she's a good person because I don't feel like she is. And Gina's like, you feel like you have her figured out. I keep going back to the posts that you shared about her liking those anti-LGBTQ posts. And we flash back to Tamra throwing Gina this. I mean, you do have to pay attention to who brings this information. This Tamra in this scene is what they're saying that Lisa Barlow does, right? So Gina goes, there's a big part of me, Tamra, that's like still thinking, maybe it's not true. I wanted her to make me feel better about this. And Tamra's like, I have questions for her too. I wonder if this goes against the friendship contract. And Gina goes, I understand that this is calculated on Tamra's part. Tamra is mad at Gretchen, but I'm not bringing this up for Tamra. I'm bringing this up because it bothers me. Gina Cushionhider. And Tamra goes, don't bring it up tonight. Leave it for tomorrow, because then we get on a plane in the morning. Yeah, good thinking. In fact, they shouldn't bring it up on this trip at all. Save it for, like, bringing cameras back up. Anyways, that's what they agree to do. And then we have Emily and Heather has her father's ashes with her. They're going to her mom and dad's place in Amsterdam, right? So Heather says that her and Emily have gotten really close, talking about her parents and their husbands and their kids. And I really think she'll understand. And so they're at her parents' old house. And Heather's talking about their husbands and saying it's so irritating because they take the kids' side sometimes, you know? And Heather says, I'm envious. I didn't have that relationship with her parents. Heather says, although I can't say I have all these beautiful, warm, fuzzy memories of her parents, she says, I will tell you that we share a birthmark, her and her dad. And when I was little, she says, I had this autograph book and my dad wrote me a little note and he said, always remember the dot in your ear and we'll be together. Love, Dad. Okay, so I'm a sucker for that kind of shit. I love that. I think that's a beautiful little thing that she shared. And sometimes those specificities can really humanize a housewife, especially one like Fancy Pants, right? But Heather says to Emily she never felt understood. And Emily goes, I feel abandoned. Heather's like, okay, whatever. Anyways, back to me. But Emily says, I wish I could call my mom and tell her everything that's going on with Luke and ask for advice, but I can't do that, Emily says. Remember, she doesn't have parents that are good parents to her, so she can't ask for advice about her child. And she just feels lost in it. So I'm not discounting any of these any of these feelings from these ladies. I think it's just that these things are lost because when they get together as a group, it just doesn't work, right? But Heather says, I find myself so upset and irritated when he comes up because I'm upset about things that I can't control, and that he just wasn't capable of in regards to her dad. And she says, he did the best he could. And then she goes, Emily, are we doing the best we can? And Emily's like, yeah, I wore that really slutty outfit the other night. So anyways, they're like on the doorstep of the parents' old house and the owner of the house comes out and he's like, hello? This isn't like a stage thing. He just came out. But you have to remember, there's a camera guy outside this dude's house. And he's like, I live here, just here. I'm John Pierre. What's up? If you want to go inside, you want to make films inside? Because they have a camera guy. You want to make sexy films inside? Huh? Yes, yes. Anyways, they actually go inside, and Heather's able to see where her parents once lived, right? It's a beautiful... I didn't realize Heather's parents were rich, too. My God, I thought Terry was rich. Turns out Heather's parents were rich as well. This place is beautiful. Now they're sitting on like a cement lip right above the canal, and Heather is giving a speech with her father's ashes and kind of saying like, I hope you're having like a glass of good wine up there, which is so funny. You know, like we say that about my mom too. It's like, well, she's drinking the good wine upstairs. I love that we always consider heaven a place where you can get really good booze. You know, we're like, it's like open bar. It's open bar up there. It totally is. Anyway, she releases the ashes into the water. This poor canal water, you know, just a dump it. But it really is. It's an emotional scene. Emily comes up and hugs her. And Heather says, I just, you know, hope he's in a place that I wanted to leave in a place that he was so happy because he was so happy in Amsterdam. And Heather goes, but I think truthfully, I think I'm setting myself free. And then Heather goes, this is exhausting. I did shrooms. I went through a maze. I had strobe lights. I could have had a seizure, apparently. I dumped my dad's ashes. I took a house tour. It's a fucking lot. It truly is a lot. That's quite a day. Okay, so now we're doing a round robin of calling home FaceTime calls. Jen's calling Ryan, and Ryan says, I have 2 pussies in bed with me last night. And she goes, what'd you say? Huh, I mean, I had 2 pussy cats. Ha ha ha, made a pussy cat joke. Pull my finger. And then we have Shannon drunk, just sloppily putting makeup on in a mirror. And then we have Gretchen calling her daughter. And the daughter's like, I miss you so much, Mama. And Gretchen's like, look at that voluminous Gretchen hair that you have. Because she has one of Gretchen's wigs on. They're spraying their hair for a night on the town, whatever that means. So now they're all at dinner. They're at a Fuddruckers. No, they're at like a fancy seafood place. I don't know. Anyways, they're all sharing their day. Heather tells them about the dad and the ashes. And Shannon goes, I have something I'd like to bring up. Gretchen today told me that when you guys were driving to your swing earlier, I came up in your conversation. And we flash back to 3 hours earlier where Gretchen's telling Shannon if they're saying if they have all these Spanx and it's like when you cut it open, it's like popping up like a box of biscuits. And Shannon's like, who said that? And Gretchen's like, Emily said it. Is she like fat shaming you, Shannon? And Shannon in this scene goes, I was told you guys said no guy is going to want to be with me because I wear Spanx. And all that does is redistribute the fat. And Tamra goes, we never said no guys would be with you because of Spanx. We said it's because of your personality. No. But they're all freaking out. But Gretchen really threw these ladies under the bus. This is very much like Bronwyn in Salt Lake City when she was like, Meredith, Brittany said that you have seizures. What? I don't have seizures. But I love Shannon repeating this stuff back. And even Gina's like cracking up like, oh boy, oh my gosh. The visual of Shannon just poof. Emily and Tamra are laughing while Shannon's saying all of this stuff, which is a little disrespectful. And Emily's like, Gretchen, you told her that? We were joking about the Spanx, Gretchen. And Gretchen goes, I did. I told her. No, I said I laughed when you said it. And I prayed all afternoon about it. And Gretchen's like, sometimes with Gretchen, she tries to act very pious. And like she's above everything. But then she's like causing problems. Wait till she finds out Shannon's trans. Shannon goes, when it comes to me, I can make fun of myself. But especially the last year after you had your issues, like, yeah. And Emily's like, I wasn't talking about you specifically. No guy's going to want to be with me, Shannon. Because she's going to have to pull all the Spanx out. And Emily goes, I would never say that. I would never say that. And Tamara's like, that was never said. That was taken out of context. We really have to teach everybody what context means, right? Where everybody's like... But Jen says in a talking head, everybody was very much talking about Shannon. Gretchen goes, Shannon definitely has a right to know with her supposed friends are saying about her behind her back. Her coworkers are talking behind her back. And Gretchen goes, that's not very funny. And it's just not very nice. What would Jesus do? Emily says, from my perspective, and Jen was there was no malicious intent. No, there was only intent to get people laughing. And Gretchen goes, Emily, you adjust. And Emily goes, Gretchen, shut up. Shut up. Shut up, Gretchen. And Gretchen's just calmly going, oh, I'm just going to be called out about anything. Okay. And Emily goes, you want to call shit out? You're going to piss me off. I'm going to fucking lose it on you. You just upset me, Emily. If I'd said something that hurt your feelings, Shannon, that was not my intent. I just think you're abusing Spanx. In my mind, it was just a funny conversation. We started talking about how funny you are and how you do prop comedy with Spanx. And Emily goes, and how much we enjoy being around you. And Shannon goes, thanks. Thank you. Thanks. And Emily goes, you're hilarious. Not like Heather. You could actually be in the Groundlings. And Shannon is just going, thank you. Thank you. Shannon goes, I'm glad that I can have that kind of relationship with Emily where I can speak honestly and say that hurt my feelings and you try and remedy it. That's what real friendship is. I'm glad I didn't explode like a can of biscuits. Shannon's going to go to the restroom. She should have gone to the restroom and said, don't talk any shit about me while I'm gone. I'm going to have to spend an hour getting these Spanx off. Shannon gets up and she's tucked her blouse in the back, and we see that the tag of the pants, or the blouse tag, is hanging out of the back of her jeans. And Tamra just explodes in laughter. And Tamra's like, her price tag's coming out of her asshole. She's always such a hot mess, Tamra says. And Emily goes, don't make fun of her right now. Don't. She can't take anymore. Yeah, don't make fun of Shannon. She puts bread on all your tables. How dare you? Now the ladies are split up again. Shannon's doing a funny bike ride. Hilarity ensues. Emily's telling Heather and Gretchen that Shane's doing good with the kids again and is sending her pictures with him and Luke, but doesn't really take time to say that he's sorry for worrying her. So there's that again. And then now we're in a park where Gina is talking to Jen about Ryan. And Gina's like, sometimes I feel like, it gets in the way of you developing that inner confidence because you're so dependent on Ryan. And Jen's like, sometimes I get in my head because Ryan has this very colorful, past, which means he's done butt stuff. And Tamara's like, well, he was a playboy for a long time. And Jen says, and sometimes I think, am I going to be enough? And already with that line, you're just like, oh my God. Listen, as somebody that struggles with confidence, I get it. But girl, he's indie. I mean, there's a purity in Jen in some ways that Ryan will never be able to achieve. Jen obviously is not perfect and she can be swayed very easily. But you see it in her relationship with Gretchen, you see it in her relationship with Ryan, and it's I think that's the whole point, is that I think her friends would like to see her, or not friends, her coworkers would like to see her stand on her own and kind of in her own light and build that confidence before giving that to somebody else. Even though Ryan seems like he's obviously very into her on the show, I get a creep factor, but not a creep factor like we've seen many men on Bravo. And Gina's like, you need to feel like you're enough. And Jen goes, when I'm 72 and shit's falling and things whatever, we're still I'm still your girl. I'm still her for you. And Jen says, getting older is real and you still feel like the same woman, but you don't look like the same woman. He doesn't make me feel that way, but I get in my head, she tells the ladies. And Gina's like, you have insecurities. Yeah, listen, Jen does seem very image obsessed. And when you're living in this area, it seems like that is a big part of it. And she's always taking care of her body and, doing things to her face and the boobs and all of this stuff to keep up with the Joneses. And whether Ryan feels that way or not is almost inconsequential because Jen is always going to feel that way. And it's going to get scarier if she doesn't, figure that out mentally right now, or, she's going to put her body through a lot of procedures that are probably unnecessary. And Jen's like, so is that a me thing? And Shannon's like, that's a realistic insecurity. We've all been through it. We're divorced women. And Shannon's like, at one point we were marrying the person we thought we'd spend the rest of our lives with. And then we weren't enough. And so this is an interesting conversation. It is. And Tamara's like, what I would like to see you do is establish yourself financially. If something doesn't work out, you're going to be fine. You're not dependent on him. Tamara, give her a podcast on your network. But Tamara's like, I'm paying for my own kids, you can tell them. Don't worry, and it alleviates the stress between the two of you. Jen says, it's amazing to have a real conversation with Tamra without snark, and I wish she could do that more often. And Jen says, I'm surprised that OnlyFans didn't come up. And Tamara's like, that it's always an option. You could do naked yoga. Seriously, she could. And you never know. You never know. Easy money, folks. I couldn't do it. I don't have the bod, but if I did, I would think about it. So we're now at the final dinner scene, and they're at this seafood place, and, Tamara's like, we don't want to get the crab because I've had them before. And everybody's like, have you? And Tamara's like, yeah, I was itching like a motherfucker. Okay, man, we're at dinner. And Tamara's like, you got to get a lice thing and go through it. God, talk about a bad, part-time job, a lice pube cleaner for Tamra. And Shannon's like, we are ordering. Yeah, you're making fun of Shannon and her Spanx. You're literally talking about pube crabs. What? And they're like, how did you get them? And Tamra goes, from a dirty man. I got crabs for my boyfriend, Tamra says. He said he got it from like a toilet seat or something, but I'm pretty sure he was cheating me, Yeah, I think so. I don't want to speak ill of the crab on toilet seat community, but it seems like it would probably be hooking up with another person. That's my guess. So all the drinks are getting delivered. And Tamra's like, let's toast to our very last night in Amsterdam, right? And Tamra says, I'm going to cry. Why, are you about to quit again? Tamra says, this year has been very hard on me. And we start getting the finale music up, and the postscript comes up on Tamra's face, and it says, Tamra and Eddie have been spending lots of time in Big Bear. Separately. No, it doesn't say that. While Sophia, her daughter, is planning a move to New York City to pursue music. What happened to the LA school? She has no plans to record with her mother. So that's Tamra's postscript. And Tamra's like, I just want to thank you guys for being there. And Heather, you've helped me through some really dark times. And I appreciate that. And Heather's postscript says, Heather and Terry sold their Beverly Hills house at a $5.8 million loss. Way to go, Josh Flagg. Way to go, bud. She doesn't plan on buying a new place in Orange County. Of course she doesn't. She's only on a show called Real Housewives of Orange County. You don't need to live there to be on the show. Okay, so then we go to, Tamra goes, and I just want to say that I love you guys. Shannon, her postscript comes up. Shannon has a new guy in her life, Troy, a golden retriever. She's riding this emotional high, and we see both of the dogs in pictures. Archie's always my dog, but Troy, we welcome you. She's riding this emotional high, space cake free, it says. And Tamra goes, this is a great trip, and I'm looking forward to the future. And Gina's comes up. The gated group is going strong, as are Gina and Travis. Gina is still living without fear, unless she's critiquing Heather's improv. One of her ears did get crushed by Travis's testicles. And then Heather goes, may our glam always be flawless. May our receipts always be accurate. And then Jen's postscript comes up. While Ryan and Jen still do not have a wedding date planned, Dawson, her son, recently graduated from Marines boot camp, but passed out 20 minutes into the ceremony, which is true. I saw that happened. And Heather goes, may our friendships, although sometimes complicated, always be worth the ride. Was Tamra's toast not good enough? Now it's, Tamra goes, did you just make that up, Heather, or did you read it off ChatGPT? Everybody's obsessed with ChatGPT on this cast. That's where the storylines are coming from. Emily's postscript says Emily continues to navigate Luke's evolving diagnosis. She's learning to embrace life's unpredictable ride, including the one at the Abbey, the gay bar they went to earlier this season, right? And then Gretchen says, are those sharks like hanging down from the ceiling or something? This is a very interesting restaurant. And then all of a sudden, Gina's like, Gretchen, now that we're done with the postscripts, there's something that I have to address with you. When we were in Orange County, and Tamra's like, are you talking about the conversation we had? Yeah, Tamra, what do you think she's talking about? Oh, my God. And Gina's like, yeah, it's been weighing on me, and I can't not bring this up. And Tamra's like, it's been weighing on me, too. You shared a lot of posts that you have liked that are like very disparaging towards the LGBTQ plus community. And everybody's staring around. And Gretchen goes, oh gosh, good golly gosh, I would never do that. I mean, if I like something that I probably didn't know it was about, I just like a lot of accidentally homophobic posts. I accidentally do it, And she goes, I don't have any issue with the LGBTQ community. Then why are you on social media liking these things? And Gretchen's like, well, unfortunately, sometimes I'm scrolling quickly and liking things. And so I don't know if I'm paying enough attention. Okay. And Tamra's shaking her head like, no way. And Shannon goes, how did you see it, Tamra? And Tamra goes, it was something that was sent through iHeart. She's now blamed her podcasting company 2 times. Like, is iHeart just sending you gossip all the time? Like, is this true? I've worked for a couple of companies now, and I've never been sent any sort of gossip from the podcast distributor. I'm so curious. I need to get iHeart to comment on this. And Emily goes, did you talk about it? And Tamra goes, no, iHeart was like, no. And Jen goes, Tamra, do you have the post up? And Tamra does have the post up, of course. Isn't this what we're talking about? Like what we're not supposed to be doing? Heather has her glasses on. Heather's like, I will put my glasses on for this. And Gina goes, there's one about Dylan Mulvaney. And Jen says, who's that? And Heather goes, a friend of mine. And remember, Dylan Mulvaney is the trans woman that was on Heather's podcast earlier in the season. And when Dylan Mulvaney was on, I said, having her on, there's a reason for that. Obviously, it spreads awareness. And Heather, obviously, that's part of her family. But I said, I don't think they would share this unless it was going to come up later in the season. And here we are, folks. I'm a producer in training. And Gretchen goes, I mean, like, how would you guys even find that? That's weird. And Jen goes, that's terrible, though. And then Jen goes, but that's so not like you. Why are you liking that? And Gretchen's like, but I wouldn't. And Gretchen at a talking head says, of all the things that you could say, this is what you're going to come up with? That's just not true at all. I mean, it's ridiculous. Heather goes, do you understand, Gretchen, that I just threw an event for the Trevor Project? LGBTQ plus is so in danger. This is true. And so in danger, every 45 seconds, somebody commits suicide. And people are talking over her. And Heather's like, I am speaking. Every 45 seconds, a queer child tries to kill themselves, commits suicide. Do you understand what hate rhetoric like this does to our children? This is so right. I love Heather in these moments. But Heather in a talking head said, this doesn't seem like Gretchen. Gretchen always has friends in the queer community. If this is true, she says, I just have no words. And Gretchen says, Heather, it's not like me at all. And Gretchen, though, seems like she's taken like 3 Xanax or something. She's so chill. And Heather's like, why are you not horrified right now? Can you show them to her, Gina? And Gretchen's like, well, that makes me really sad. And Heather goes, it makes you sad. And Tamra's like, if you feel that way, say that you feel that way. Stand up for what you feel. And Gretchen's just like, I would not do that. And now Gina's showing her the post. You liked it. Look, you liked it. And Heather's like, it is about human decency. And then Jen goes, do you biblically feel like, because I know you're very strong in your faith. And Heather goes, biblical? And Jen fires back, I'm just asking. Watch your tone, Jen. And then Tamra goes, Jesus loves gay people too. Jesus loves Tam. But Heather's screaming like, this promotes hate. And Jen says, I'm not saying that, Heather. We cut to commercial. Jen saying biblical, like it gives some sort of pass for people to hate on certain groups of people. I'm not down with that, and I don't think, Jesus didn't promote hate either from what I know about him, right? They're screaming. Other people in the restaurant are now looking at them. Classic housewife trope. And Jen says, I'm trying to understand where her fucking mind would be. Jen says it doesn't add up for her. She goes, I know Gretchen, and I know her soul, and I know her heart. Something's amiss her. I'm sorry, you've known somebody for a year. You don't know her soul and her heart. I'm sorry, you just don't. And where was this grace for Katie Janela? Where was this, knowing her soul and her heart? You met Gretchen for 1 year, and you know her soul and her heart? I'm sorry, you throw around religion and pray in front of a bunch of people. It doesn't give you a free pass to do whatever the fuck you want in life. I'm sorry to be... Anyways, she says something's amiss here. And Heather goes, you are intentionally liking hate rhetoric. And Gretchen goes, I don't know that I was doing that, so that's why I'm asking. And Gina's like, it's here, right? Look at this. So she's going to need an explanation, Gretchen. And Gretchen says, all I know is I'm seeing a screenshot of something I supposedly liked that I've never seen in my life. I'm completely blindsided with this information. But like I said earlier, like I've been past Gretchen things throughout the years. She's liked some weird shit, man. I like a lot of things about Batman. That's nowhere near as weird as some of the things that I've seen Gretchen like. But she says, that is not my truth. I don't have the answers for you right now because this is not who I am. And so she's like, Heather, look at me. I'm telling you, that's not how I feel. And also, that's the other thing. If that's not how you feel, don't ever represent that in public. Don't ever come, for what you believe, stand up for those things that you believe. And especially, the whole point is that whether you agree with something or not doesn't stop people from existing, doesn't stop people from feeling the way that they feel, for being who they are. And we don't, I mean, I've been in situations where people have tried to harm themselves because of things like this. And we all know somebody in our lives, or will know somebody in our lives. And it is our, I think, duty and moral obligation to treat them just like how we would treat ourselves and how we would treat anybody else. I mean, it's a no-brainer, you know? And Heather just keeps saying, like, Gretchen, why would you do that? And Tamra goes, I don't know is not an answer, because Gretchen just said, I don't know. And Tamra's like, I don't know is not an answer. But Gretchen just keeps going, I'm telling you, I don't know how I feel, and I don't know why those things are being liked on my account. I will say the calmness in which Gretchen has is so eerie, because we saw her bawling like the night before, right? Shannon goes to Gretchen, this is insane to me. My Spanx hurts so much right now. Oh, she says that to Jen. She says that to Jen Pedranti. I just can't believe she would do that, you know? And Jen's like, yeah, I don't fucking understand. Shannon says some of the closest people in her life are part of the LGBTQ plus community. And it hurts Shannon to think that there is such hate out there and that people are posting things like this and liking it. And Jen asked Tamra, you know about this? And Tamra's like, yeah. And she goes, for how long? And Tamra goes, about a year. I mean, that's so fucking weird too, Tamra. I'm sorry. You knew about this for a year and now you decide to bust it out right now? Like, that's weird behavior as well. Like, this is what we're talking about, like keeping shit in the back pot. We got to destroy this kind of stuff on Housewives. It's not nearly as entertaining as they think it will be. And then sometimes you feel like it's a deflection from looking at their own behavior. You held on to this for a year and you consider yourself a close friend of Heather Dubrow? But Shannon's like, why did you hold on to this? And Tamara's like, well, because no matter what I say, I'm the bad one. Well, sometimes in these cases, I think, you know, it'd be understood, right? But Shannon's like, and Tamara's like, that's not the point. Just stop, shut up. And Tamara's like, well, are you defending her, Shannon? The way Tamra works is really, you got to study this person. But Shannon's like, it's a legitimate question. If something this heinous happened, why wouldn't you let us know? And Tamra's like, because it's so gross. It was too dark. How many times has Tamra brought up gross and dark things? Like, come on. No, come on, stop. And Shannon points out that Tamra's the kind of person, if she had like a smoking gun, especially this year with all the issues she's had with Gretchen, you would think she would have spoke about it. Exactly, Shannon. Shannon goes, I can't get past how odd it is. Why did you tell Gina and not Heather? And Shannon's like, I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, she had Gina do the heavy lifting. Gretchen just keeps saying, it's not how I feel, you know. And Gina goes, yeah, you don't want to present that way. That's how I feel. And Tamara's like, if I was accused of being a homophobic bitch, I'd be crying my eyes out. Okay, let's accuse Tamra just to test it. But Gretchen goes, but I know I'm not. So I'm not upset about something that I know who I am and what my heart feels. So it's very different from the Gretchen from a couple episodes ago at that country like hoedown for Emily, where she's like, come and get it, bitch. Remember coming after Tamra? Gretchen says, for God's sakes, I had a drag queen Tupperware party at my home. And we flash back to 2009 on the show with a drag queen. But by the way, 2009 and 2025, that's a lot of distance in between those two dates. People can change. People's opinions and what they believe in change. And it gets sometimes darker as we get older. But Gretchen says, I've never been judgmental. I've never had anything negative to say about any way that somebody chooses to live their life. I mean, I can point out a couple posts where Gretchen has been very negative about certain people. Anyways, Heather calls Terry crying and saying, Gretchen has been liking anti-gay, anti-trans posts. It is horrible. And it is. Gretchen says at the table, I am shocked because I can't remember liking any of those things. I don't even know that account that you just showed me. And Tamra goes, I'm not buying your bullshit. And Gretchen says, if you were trying to make me be a homophobic person, and Tamara's like, you're making yourself be a homophobic person. She says in a talking head that she would never intentionally like hate rhetoric. So something is fishy here. Something is not matching up. Emily says, Gretchen, you just sit there and go, I don't know. Go talk to Heather. She's upset. And Emily's like, she is upset. The burden's on you to make her feel better. And Gretchen kind of half-ass gets up and like walks over to Heather. And Emily says, if I was accused of something I absolutely did not do, I would be crawling across the table, beating the fucking shit out of Tamra Judge. And by the way, that sounds like an amazing scene. That's what I thought we were going to get. And Emily says, the fact that she's not doing that just doesn't make any sense to me. And Heather says, Gretchen, I don't know what to say. And Gretchen says, do you think that I have hate towards your children? Your children are okay. They're in a different tax bracket. And Gretchen says, forget the post. And Heather goes, I don't know which one is true. And Gretchen says, my point is, and Heather's like, maybe you thought nobody would see it. And Gretchen just keeps going, that's not how I feel. What can I do? And Heather goes, prove that it's not true. But I don't know how you're going to figure that out. Now, the other ladies are back at the table. Shannon's like, the damage is deep. Where do we go from here? And Tamra's like, it's really disgusting. I love Tamra, like, really, like, laying on the gas when it's like, dude, you've done some pretty disgusting, not this disgusting, but you've done disgusting things. So the outrage is, like, ramped up to a point where it's, like, weird coming from Tamra. But Shannon's like, this is really a horrible situation. And then Tamra keeps shouting, she's a really horrible person, and she's been going after me for 12 years. There's a lot of time that she wasn't even on the show. Anywho, now Gretchen once again calls Slade. Like, come on, Gretchen. Do you have any other friends? Like, my God. Slade's like, how we doing? I'm not doing good, babe. Not doing good. They're accusing me of liking Ryan Bailey's memes on Instagram. No, they're accusing me of liking posts on Instagram that are homophobic. And Slade's like, what? And the food's getting delivered at the table. And the crabs are getting delivered. Not Tamra's crabs, but just actual food crab. And now everybody's depressed and can't eat the crab. And Slade's like, I'm a little confused. Well, that's the most ridiculous thing that I've heard. You know, you fucking love gay people. I'm gay. Tamra's like, Gretchen can't do anything without Slade. I don't know if the girl doesn't have a brain or what, but she needs Slade to try to get her out of this. See, anything that Tamra says, you can't really rely on that either just because of her past, right? Like, anyways, Gretchen says, Tamra's just still going off on me. It's great. And Slade's like, good, go off on the, that this is coming from the lying bitch who made comments about me looking gay in my sandals. Listen, two things can be true at once, folks. Two things can be true at once. The sandals didn't look good, right? But Slade goes, Tamra made a gay slur about my sandals. So when you search Tamra and gay slurs, she comes up on the internet. Not you. This is ridiculous. You do not have to defend a single thing. And Gretchen's like, I agree. I'm going to go, babe. I'm going to go. And so now Gretchen comes and sits back at the table. And it's just quiet. Eerie. And I think Tamra says, did Slade give you any good advice? And Gretchen says, he said he just knows it's absolute bullshit. And he said, you don't have to defend anything. And Heather goes, that's where he's wrong, though. You do. If you want to keep the friendship, you do. If you want to keep the paycheck, you do. And Gretchen's like, you guys have to understand this is all brand new information to me. And I don't know. And Heather's getting up and Tamra's like, I don't think Heather wants to hear what you have to say right now. And she goes, I'm just very upset. And so Heather wants to go. Everybody's like, let's go. Are we going to pay the check? Is somebody taking care of the check? Tamra's like yelling, what the fuck is wrong with her? And Emily's like, you need to defend yourself, Gretchen. And Jen says that as well. And Gretchen's like, I did defend myself, though. And Jen's like, you didn't. Yes, I did. I said, that's not me. And Jen's like, then you call Slade. Don't call fucking Slade. I love Jen. Jen actually is like, it's not time to call fucking Slade. And Jen in the talking head says, it's the worst move she could have made. She needs to stand in front of this and tell every single one of those girls, I don't know where that came from, but I did not do this. So now all the girls are loading in the Sprinter van, and Gretchen's trying to get in the van, and Tamra's like, no. And Emily's like, Gretchen, I think you have a separate car, honey. And Gretchen's like, that's fine. I understand. I need you guys to know right now, this is not what I believe. It's not who I am. And I'm sad that you guys are all doing this to me. And Heather goes, doing this to you? And then Tamra goes, get out of here, go, go, go. Tamra's like frothing the other, I'm Cujo. And Gretchen's like, finally Gretchen's crying, why are you doing this? I don't even know where this is coming from. I mainly use Snapchat. I've never even seen this, for God's sakes. I know you know this is not who I am, Heather. Why the hell would I have all these people in my life? If I felt that way, I let Slade wear sandals all the time. Please make it make sense. And Heather goes, that's what we're saying. You guys are making me out to be somebody I am not. And Shannon's like, show us then. Explain it. How am I going to do that? I don't know how to do that. Slade does. He seems like he's a technical whiz. He's like searching Tamra and gay slurs online. And Shannon's like, I don't know. Figure it out. As we hear her Spanx pop like a Anyways, Gretchen, the tears are gone. And Gretchen just turns around and walks away. Where are the tears? And Tamra's like, do you guys understand why this entire year I've been so fucking annoyed? She's not a good person, you guys. Not a good person. Now the car is driving and Gina goes, I went to the actual pages of these people and she does follow those accounts. But then I went to the post that she supposedly liked. And I can't find anyone that she actually liked. But see, for me, though, the fact that she follows those accounts to begin with, that's the fucking problem. I mean, okay. And people are like, well, she didn't know this was coming, so how she could go and like a bunch of posts. If I knew I was coming back to reality TV, I would probably scrub a lot of things, right? I would get rid of my podcast entirely. All 1,300 episodes, gone. Gone. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but the fact that she follows accounts that would post shit like that in the first place, it's inconsequential if she liked it or not. Right? I mean, I have followed people that then I've seen DMs from like, why do you follow this person? And I've checked it out and I've unfollowed that person because they've said something really horrific. So, you know, it does matter, right? So Tamara's like, I don't know, they're like a year old. And Gina's like, but I can't find actual proof. And Tamara's like, well, did she go and unlike these accounts? And Emily's like, that's the question. You can't just sit across from someone and accuse them of doing something without knowing for sure. Well, then why did Gina fucking do it, Emily? You knew about it too. Why did you let Gina do that? And Tamra, why'd you let Gina do that? Emily, if that's how you felt, why are we in this? Wait, why did we do it in the first place? But Emily goes, here we are judging her reply. The Innocence Project is going to represent Gretchen Rossi. But Emily says she was just in shock, didn't know what to do. In a talking head, Emily says, Gretchen's reactions to everything did bother me. However, we had to try to decipher what happened in real time with a lot of information. We had to really throw that shit show together at the last moment. And then Emily goes, it's not right to destroy someone's life. Housewives is over. And then go to bed and sleep and wake up the next morning and be smug and happy about it. And Heather goes, I feel fucking terrible because obviously it's a very triggering conversation for me in particular. And Emily goes, you reacted in the way you should react when you see something like that. But Heather goes, I know, but she's also a friend for a long time. Heather in a talking head says, Gretchen's always been really kind to me and my family. I would hate to ever accuse someone of something that's not true. And Jen's like, has anybody reached out to her? Because I guess this is the next day. And Heather said, I texted her last night and I said, I hope this is not true. And Gretchen says, it's not true. And I guess we'll find out, Heather says. And Gina's like, I feel really, really bad. I wanted to bring something up based on information that I thought was true. And now I'm not so sure it is. Hey, fucking Sherlocks. Why did nobody think to actually... This is ridiculous, dude. This is why this is a mess. It's just a mess of a season. And Jen goes, if she didn't do it, it's fucked up. And Gina's like, she's saying she didn't do it, you know? She seemed very confused by it. And Emily goes, she should have said, fuck you, Tamra, for bringing this up. And Gina goes, it goes back to the root of the problem. You and Gretchen, Tamra, go tit for tat all the time. And I feel this is all stemming from that. And to be honest, like at this point, I'm going to remove myself from that. And Jen in the talking head goes, Gina got played, for sure. Tamra planted it with Gina, and boom, it worked. And then Tamra goes, Tamra's like the classic Tamra, oh, fuck this. Like, it's my fault. And Emily's like, no, we're not saying it's your fault. We're saying it just comes down to the core thing. You guys are always fighting about stuff and you see about each other. And Tamra's like, you guys don't fucking fight with her. Do you want me to quit on the season finale? She's a horrible fucking person. And Gina goes, you bring up shit on the internet that you see about each other to hurt each other. It's boom, 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 boom. And it's like you're both going to destroy your lives. In a talking head, Tamra goes, how much shit can I take from this girl? All these things she can say about me and I just sit back? No, I'm not doing that. Checkmate, bitch. Checkmate, bitch. Tamra goes, I'm not destroying my fucking life, and Gretchen Rossi will never fucking destroy my life because I have a good life. I'm not out there liking. And now look at the position she's in. Well, she did it to herself. Maybe karma's a bitch, bitch. And then we get the postscript. 1 week later. Dun, dun, dun. We're back in Orange County. Pick back up cameras. And Gretchen says to Slade after he asks how you holding up, and he goes, I'm trying to pretend like I'm okay. And Slade's like, what's hard is I can't even say it's going to be okay, babe. She says she's been so depressed. I have not really been able to sleep. And Slade's like, just come over, sit, talk to me, babe. It's extremely painful to see every single one of my friends at that table question who I am. And Gretchen goes, I should have thought to say, show me the post, not a screenshot, like I wouldn't ever like something like this. I'm very aware I keep the hate in my heart secret. And Slade goes, I know you wouldn't. And Gretchen says, the only reason I said I don't think so is because I'm seeing what everybody else is seeing. Tamra in a scene goes, my biggest concern right now is their retaliation against me and you. She's talking to Eddie. I think that Slade is trying to drum up something and make it look like it's my fault. The bank robbery at the Louvre heist robbery. Slade says to Gretchen, I'm going to get to the bottom of where they came from, and I'm going to find out who is the owner of this frickin' page. And Gretchen says that supposedly Tamra happens to know all about. And Slade goes, Tamra happens to know all about. Now we go back to Tamra, and Tamra says, I don't know. I just hope I have to never see her again, to be honest with you. And then the postscript comes up and it says, after production wrapped, some of the women received DMs from a person with information about the show. Dun, dun, dun. I thought we weren't supposed to deal with bloggers. And then it says, which was not yet known to the public at large. Ooh, spooky. And it says, Ryan's house, May 9th, 2 months before the premiere of this season. And Gina's like, oh my God, it's back and it has a different name. And Shannon's like, how did you get it? And Gina goes, Emily just sent me a screenshot. And the screenshot says, I know you don't know who I am. I'm just someone who wants to expose the truth. Part of the reason why I wanted to reach out is because Tamra has been leaking details about the entire season throughout filming to bloggers and fan pages. If you want to test knowledge, feel free. I can prove everything I'm saying. Oh, it's like a little quiz. So she's reading this to Jen and Shannon. And so this is the big pickup cameras scene, right? So Jen's like, what? And then also, now they're calling this person. It's a disguised voice. And it's like, she does do a lot of talking, mainly on Instagram. And it's always like a play-by-play during filming. Ah. And Jen's like, can you give us a couple things that you know? So I know that when she fake quit after the New Orleans trip, is she a big fat lady? And when she did return, she filmed with Heather at some restaurant. I think it was Costa Mesa. She told this group of people that Katie last filmed with the group on March 20th. Gretchen in a talking head says, this may be the last time anyone sees me with this group of women. And then the voice continues, and then her last scene was like a sit down with Tamra. And then we see this Katie and Tamra scene on April 10th, 3 months before the premiere. And Gina's like, there's so many things that are coming up that haven't been aired. And then the voice continues, I think it was something to do with Gretchen allegedly telling Katie something. I'm shocked the voice was like, Kiki Monique. And then Katie reported back to Tamra. Katie reported back to Tamra. And Shannon's like, wow. Jen says Tamra's getting away with leaking info, yet holding Katie accountable for doing the exact same thing. She got into an altercation with Gretchen and I guess Slade, who is gay because he wears weird sandals. And then she took the high road and she just kept walking away. On April 20th, she told my friend that you and she were plotting against Gretchen to bring up the transphobic and homophobic stuff. You guys both had hoped that it would turn everyone against her. And Gina's like, that's insane. She's clearly trying to make this like it look like a my fault thing when I have nothing to do with this. Like, that's insane. You know what, Tamra? I'm not here to do your dirty work. I'm not your fucking henchman. I'm not your minion. And now you've pissed me off. And Gina goes, this is all our content. This is our whole show. She just leaked our whole show. Shannon goes, how dare you try to destroy so much for your own benefit? I really can't come up with another word other than evil. And Gina's like, it's literally insane. And Jen says, Tamra will do anything for maximum impact. I think she will hurt anybody. I think she will leak information. And I think she's probably one of the most calculative, scary, dangerous people within this friend group. And Gina's like, this is insane. And Shannon's like, what? Whoa. Next week on The Real Housewives of Orange County reunion. Andy says, well, you guys have seen all of the episodes, but not the aftermath. So what they're doing is they're showing that scene that we just saw. Those ladies have not seen that. They made them watch the finale, but they didn't give them that scene. So they're making them watch that scene in person at the reunion, just like they did on the final, the Vanderpump Rules reunion, the final season. With the Tom Sandoval comment. So it's a very effective way to do this. I like when they do this. And he's like, we wanted you to watch this for the first time. And Katie Janela we see, and then we see the voice, Tamra told my friend that you and she were plotting against Gretchen. So they're watching this, and Gretchen's like, Tamra, that's fucked up. And then Tamra screaming, you're making up fucking lies. You've been doing to me for so long. That's like classic Tamra screaming. And then we have the ladies in their dresses like, ooh, you look beautiful. And Gretchen looks like Elsa. And then Tamra goes, I was thinking JonBenet Ramsey. And then Heather goes, by the way, I had a salmon sperm facial to prepare. And then Emily goes, I don't even want my husband's sperm near me. Ayo. And then Andy goes, Shannon, you thought you heard the theme song? And then Shannon's like, yeah. And they're last. So there's some levity. And then we have Jen saying, I'm in the same seat you're in, Katie. And Katie, Janela, and Matt Janela are on stage. And Katie says, so I fucked with your paycheck? And Jen's like, wait, what? And then Shannon says, you're Tamra Grudge. You have all the grudges. And Emily goes, did you say Tamra Grudge? And then Tamra goes, why do you have to be an asshole? And then Emily goes, you want to talk about an asshole all the time? That's you. Emily gets mad at Tamra. And then Gretchen says, I spent thousands of dollars getting a cyber analysis of these posts. Can I get a receipt of that? Can I please get a receipt? Slade's writing out a receipt. And then Gretchen says, a lot of these accounts were tied to Tamra. I'm going to need to see a full audit. I need a full audit of that. And Shannon's like, this is life-changing. And then Tamra going, shut up. And then Gina going, I don't play this game. Homie, don't play this. And Heather's like, this has got to stop. This has got to stop. And that's it, you guys. That is our season. Thank God. The reunion looks fun. I think we'll have a fun time with that. But my God, I just feel like I've been released, folks. I've been released. We have been released. Oh, season 19. Thank you. And F you. Horrific season, but I love you guys so much. And remember, stay subscribed because I'm going to put out a bonus episode today with the director of Nightmare on Elm Street 2 for spooky season and an interview from a director of a really cool documentary that's coming out that I think you guys should check out. So that's like a bonus episode where it's more about some films and things to check out for spooky season. I love you guys. Have a great weekend. I'll see you over on the Patreon. Bye.